Hello and welcome to the Passion Driven Pioneers interview series. I'm your host, John Shannon, and today I'm joined by Tyler Olson, who is the founder and CEO of Shield Academy. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, John, for having me on. Looking forward to this podcast.
I am too. This is going to be interesting. Would you maybe just start us off with a brief background as to who you are, what you do, and the business that you're in?
I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life. A story that many people enjoy. I was actually my initiation into entrepreneurship. I was 12 years old. I was up in my family's cabin in northern Minnesota, and the family next door came over to the campfire one night and said, "We need a teenager to fix our computer." And it was my first sales objection in life, which I didn't know at the time. And I said, "Well, I'm not a teenager yet, but I'm sure I can fix your computer." And I went over and I fixed it up. And they said, "What do we owe you?" And I said, "Well, I've never been paid before." "Well, what do you want?" "I like brownies." So the first time I got paid as an entrepreneur was in brownies up at the cabin at 12 years old. And through middle school, high school, I had a digital photography business back when nobody had digital cameras, going to Valentine's dances and proms and golf charity tournaments, taking pictures for people, printing them off for $5, and making $500 a night in middle school and high school was a lot of money back then. I also had a dog walking business, a mailbox painting business. In college, I decided to focus on IT business more and grew that to about 10 technicians, mostly while still a student at the University of St. Thomas here in the Twin Cities, doing the entrepreneurship program. I sold that business when I was 23 years old. That would have been about 2009. And I started a social media marketing agency back in the early days of social media. I ran that company for about 10 years, raised a couple rounds of capital, hired a CEO to take over for me to free me up to work on other ventures. Had an Airbnb business for a while. I had a car rental business for a while. When COVID hit, those didn't do so well for a period of time, so I decided to shut those down. And since about that 2020 time period, I've been in the cybersecurity training space, helping people at companies learn and implement the basics of cybersecurity. As you and many people know, we need everybody to implement the basics of cybersecurity. Concepts like having unique passwords for all your accounts, having multi-factor authentication set up, using complex passwords, those types of concepts. And many people hate that training they have to go through. So we've made something that's far more interesting, entertaining, far more helpful to actually help people implement it than other tools out there. So that's what I'm working on now. I also do a lot of speaking engagements around the world. Just got one here for Mexico booked for February. So excited about that.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun too. The speaking engagements, that is.
It is. I love it.
Good, good. So, was there a specific, like, little initial spark that kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to do cybersecurity training"? Because obviously you've got an IT background, right? But what was it that you recognized that was out there that
You
wasn't being?
know, I back in 2007, 8, 9 time period, I had picked up the largest project of my life, which was working on the Norm Coleman for U.S. Senate campaign back when he was running against Al Franken. And we ended up doing most of the web, most of the IT, most of the social media work for the Norm Coleman campaign. And that was the year there was a recount. And there were about 250 votes apart. And there was a day when a very significant amount of web traffic hit the website. The website crashed, and the campaign calls us and says, "We don't care what it costs, get that website back up." And so we got the website back up, and there apparently was a security vulnerability in that website. And somebody posted on YouTube how to download the credit card database of the website. High stress point in life. I had this thought I should call my attorney. The attorney says call the police. Police say call the FBI. The FBI says the Secret Service will show up. I'm 23 years old. High stress point in life. Learned a lot about cybersecurity in a very short period of time. and just knew that there was something about this concept of cybersecurity was going to be important for the future. And so that inspired me to want to start a business in cybersecurity someday. Fast forward about 10 years, I started to go to some of the cybersecurity conferences, and people would say that I met there, they'd say there's great hardware, it'll get better. There's great software, it'll get better. But unanimously, people said, we need everybody to learn the basics. And we need users, we need people, we need employees, family members to learn and implement the basics so that we can be safer as a country, have our data secure at companies, help secure our homes and families. And that inspired me to start what's become Shield.
All right. That's a good story too. So let's talk a little bit about, you've started up several different businesses, obviously. Are there certain things that you do with each business startup? And then are there some other things that you just have learned that are different across those startups?
Yes. I mean, every business, there are numerous learning lessons. I mean, countless. And these companies last for years typically. So not only there are lessons about how to start a company, how to manage a company, how to lead people, the processes and templates that I learned over the course of time make it easier to start companies in the future because the tools that I use, from the email systems to the project management systems to the time tracking systems, I have found what I believe work the best for the companies I work with and start. And so I can copy and paste those processes and tools and those templates to make it faster to go. Now, I don't know if you were looking for specific, learning lessons, but I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's important to learn. You have to know about every category of business, right? You have to know about HR and marketing and sales and how to have a strong and clear vision. You need to know about finance and you need to know about every single part of business, people, strategy. And so you have to constantly be learning all the time.
So was there anything specific that you learned when you started up this business? Because this is a little different type of business than what you've been in before.
It's very different. Yeah, I mean, most of my companies have been service-based companies or
Hmm.
heavily dependent on service and customer service. And yes, there's a customer service or service component to this, but it's a product at its core. And
Hmm.
so building a product, selling a license is very different. Selling into the IT side of a company is very different than selling into the marketing or sales side of a company, which I did for 10 years. And so there's a lot more that's different than I expected, which has caused some challenges, has made created some expensive learning lessons. And that's a part of entrepreneurship and the journey that we choose to take as entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's good. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the things, you mentioned you decided you try to make this engagement fun for people, right? This training in cybersecurity, right? About the basics. What are some of the things that you've done with this business to accomplish that, right? And how do you stay innovative and adaptable to change?
Right next to me here, I'm looking to see if I've got it handy. When we started this business, we bought several books and textbooks on fun and
On fun?
how to create and inspire fun.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even
What
know there were
is
books out there about
right?
that.
And studying gamification,
Mm.
studying how to make learning fun. How do adults learn things? You know, um, there's a lot there to learn. So what did we do? It took our own investment into learning. It took time and money investment. uh, being an entrepreneur, you get used to making mistakes and making expensive mistakes and learning from those mistakes, correcting them, and finding a new path forward. And many times in entrepreneurship, you have to pivot. And so when you find something that's not working, you got to change course and go in a different direction. And again, I could speak for hours on each of these questions, but there's always more to learn. Always.
Good. So I'm going to ask you the little magic wand question, right? So if you could wave a magic wand, right, change one thing about your business, what would that be?
One thing, there's many things always.
One, you get to choose one.
Well, if I could wave a magic wand and
Yes.
sell a lot more licenses by tomorrow, I would do that. I think there's so many parts to business that are challenging, from making good products to hiring good people to help you make those good products to selling to finding your right target audience and finding that product market fit. Um, I have learned that sales can solve a lot of problems, and sometimes when you oversell to the company's capacity, that's an easier challenge to solve than underselling. And so, if we had a lot more sales, a lot more challenges to be created. So I think if I were to wave a magic wand, I'd have 10 or 100x the amount of sales that we have today.
I had a person on my show that talked about build your business with 10x ideas. And I think there's a book out there to that effect. So I don't know if you read that or not, but
Yes.
maybe that's a way to take a look at it. Let's talk a little bit about the future. So how about can you offer a glimpse into your future plans and goals that you have for your business?
I have big dreams and big goals in life and in business. And, when I think about as an entrepreneur, I want to make a difference in the world. I want to inspire change. I enjoy creating uh, uh, paid life learning opportunities for people, and um, whether that's with my team, with my clients, the end users, I enjoy everything about that, and I want each business that I start to have the capacity to be 10x larger than the previous. That's how I think about it, to use that analogy with 10x.
Hmm.
So with my IT business, when I sold that company, I wanted the next business to be 10 times larger, either in terms of revenue or the number of people we can help. And we achieved that. And with the Airbnb business, was able to 10x roughly again in terms of revenue and number of people that we can help. And then with the Shields, the goal is to 10x again. We haven't quite made that yet, and I want to see that happen. And I believe that Shield has a long-term potential in terms of the quantity of people it can help and the quality in which we can impact their life. What's interesting about IT, and especially like in security, when something goes wrong in a business, in a conference, the IT is often involved, and but when everything goes right, you may not think of thanking IT for that, right? And so in cybersecurity, if I do my job, people live their normal happy lives, right? If we don't do our job, well, then people can suffer major setbacks in life. And so sometimes it becomes a thankless job. But we want to be able to make a material impact on the safety and security of people we care about, people we love. The United States is a country. Uh, the companies that we're protecting. We know that what we're doing is make a material impact on important data, on people's privacy, on families. We've got people who thank us for helping them stop stalkers from stalking them.
Hmm.
And this can make an impact on each individual's life, along with companies and along with the nation and um, uh, Earth as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, we're under constant attack, it seems like all the time
We are.
from overseas, but also even here within our own countries, with respect to cyber challenges.
Yeah, the former FBI director, actually Robert Mueller, has a great quote I use often. Many years ago, he said, there are two kinds of companies in America: those that have been hacked and those that don't realize they've been hacked yet. But everybody's been hacked.
Yep, I would say so. All right. So, no one that this show, right? We try to target this show at people who are going to be in their first few years of business. Do you have any final thoughts or words of advice you'd like to share with our audience today?
I find for many early stage entrepreneurs and or aspiring entrepreneurs, uh, among the many mentorship lessons that I've learned and the relevant experience that I've gained in life, I have found that thinking bigger, acting earlier or more quickly, and just going for it. Those concepts I find help early stage entrepreneurs the most, where many early stage entrepreneurs are hesitant. They have anxiety around, should I start this business? Should I do this idea that I have? Is this a crazy idea? And oftentimes the answer is try it out, go do it. And or they're thinking too small. They might be thinking about this real small business when in reality their business can have a much bigger impact. And if you think about the business 10 or 100x bigger than it is now, or how would I 10x each year or each few years, there are opportunities out there to 10x or more. And um, I sometimes feel bad for the entrepreneurs that are earlier stage that are still so small. They got a great product, but they're just not thinking big enough. They're not acting quickly enough. They're not they're not trying it out and seeing what happens. And so that'd be the summation of kind of top three things that I think about of thinking bigger, act, and go for it. Act faster and go for it.
That's great. Those are good ones. So, hey, thank you so much for your time today, Tyler.
Hey, thanks for having me on, John. And I appreciate what you're doing, supporting entrepreneurship. I'm a major advocate for entrepreneurs, both locally and around the world. And thankful that there are people like you out there who are helping provide mentorship through podcasts, through our consulting of businesses. This is a great service.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback. That's really important. And it's been great meeting you. And so for everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.